I can see Mr. Siddharth Rayan. Welcome, sir. And I'll request Apurva, Swapan, and yes, we have Dhiren sir here. Dhiren sir, how are we doing today?
All good, all good. Thank you.
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to this.
Yes, sir. It's such a nice feeling, you know, to see all the veterans from the event technology business come together. And my sincere gratitude for this series, Limitless with MSS, for giving me this opportunity to be the moderator. For all the ones who don't know me, my name is Gitesh Singh. I'm a very dear brother of the director of MSS, Sahil Wadhwa. We work together, we do a lot of shows together, and that's how he keeps educating me about event technology. And I'm really excited to know that today I'll be learning something new along with all the veterans from the industry. Today we have this session which will enhance our knowledge about trussing solutions, about chain hoist. And I remember, you know, when I started in my early age of, you know, being an MC, I used to see a lot of people, you know, using the chain, pulling it down to take the speakers up. But with time, technology has changed. We are moving with a lot of pace. We are matching world standards. And all thanks to Modern State Service, that, you know, they are the torch bearers in India of empowering minds, educating people. And even in this lockdown period, their philosophy is that education must not stop. Education about event technology. So please send in your wishes for MSS, for Sahil Wadhwa in the chat box. If you are delighted, if you're happy to be here, to be connecting with everybody, I would love to read your messages in the chat box. We have some time. We have about 2 minutes. So if I can read your messages. Yes, I would like to scroll. Waiting for more people, and we will be starting soon. Yes, of course. We have, yes, Tanmoy from E365. Yes, he says yes. If you can read more wishes from people, that's going to bring a more illuminating smile on our faces. So, gentlemen, I'm really excited to tell you that today we have a phenomenal leader. We have a phenomenal mind. We have a phenomenal teacher who will be educating us about trussing solutions, chain hoist. He's from Sixty82 Asia from Holland, and Movcat from Germany is up with modern ways of rigging with faster execution of chain hoist. So without much ado, let me welcome on screen Director Modern State Service, Sahil Wadhwa.
Hi guys, thank you so much for joining in. How are you doing, bhai? How is everyone doing? So thank you all for joining in, and you know, it's a pleasure having all of you here. Today we have Mr. Jasper with us from Sixty82 Asia, and we'll be talking about more chain hoist. Everybody's worked with chain hoist, but today we're telling you more about the variable speed chain hoist, the load cells that are there. So, and in a very basic way, it's not a very technical training. It's mainly covering the basics of chain hoist, what you guys can do, what is the new technology in chain hoist, how we can, you know, get our sets and, you know, trussing up in a much faster way and a much solid way. So thank you all for joining in, and you know, I really hope to have all your questions after the presentation is done. Please, if you have any questions, do write on the chat box. We're going to have a Q&A session for about 10-15 minutes. And so welcome all of you, and I welcome Mr. Jasper coming in all the way from Holland to educate us about you know, all the latest technology that is there. So Jasper, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Long, but I'm here now. Yeah, well, as Sahil already said, first of all, thank you for this opportunity. My name is Jasper van Der Sluis. I'm from Sixty82 Asia, Malaysia, and Japan. Well, we've have been asked by Modern State Services to conduct this webinar on basics of chain hoists and load cells. So I have a lot of slides. Unfortunately, we have limited time to go through all this, and I can be quite passionate about things. So I try to keep things short to stay within the time. And like Sahil said, if you have any questions, just type them in and we can handle it in the Q&A session. So I think I start my presentation now. Okay. Alleen Sahil is fast. One moment, please. Yeah. Yes. Can everybody see the presentation? Dus dan denk je die drop down aan. Of die. Nee. Can everybody see the presentation?
Yes, we can.
Ah, perfect. Thank you for the confirmation. Okay, so we'll start with the basics. So I will talk about the how the Movcat system can be connected. So this is a flow chart of the advanced system, but also connected to the if you have an advanced system, also connect simpler hoists, as in Germany they call it, and you probably heard of it before, D8, BGV D8, BGV D8 Plus, and C1. Now is the only supplier that complies to the highest safety regulations in Europe. So they comply to BGV C1 and SIL 3 standards, and the SIL 3 SIL means safety integrity level. They comply to the highest level, which covers the safety aspects on the electronic side. As you can see here, this is a flow chart of the desks and the how do you say, a router, how do you say it? They have a router possibility, and that is the light orange bar, and below that you can connect the various controllers, and below that you can connect the various drives. So why do I say drives? Because not only chain hoists can be connected, but winches can be connected, rotating stages can be connected, etc. Okay, so a little bit of explanation. D8, what is D8? The D8, and I will read loud what it's saying. The D8 electric chain hoist is a regular electric chain hoist equipped without any brakes and can be loaded with 100% of the rated capacity specified on the electric chain hoist. Okay, so the electric chain hoist is not allowed to be used to hold overhead loads during the use. No persons are to be present below the loads, has no secondary measures are, this is what we call D8, so BGV D8 situation. As we go on to the presentation, we go on to the higher standards, and I will explain according. Well, we have the basics, so the D8 hoists. Amongst them is an Ecolite, and the Ecolite has one brake. So as you are used to normal hoist, this is what a normal hoist has. It has a slip clutch, it has one brake, it has an electrical motor, all the standard things that we know what a chain hoist should have. These are the various models there are. So 21 1 ton, 8 meters a minute, and 1.6 tons, 4 meters. So there are the hoists can also be equipped with trees or additional options. There is for example, a motor hook, or a swivel hook, or a fixed eyelet. The speeds are, depending on the model, 4 or 8 meters a minute. So there's a lot of possibilities you can add to your D8 hoist. You can also add limit switches, load cells, etc., etc. This is just a basic hoist. Yeah. Okay. Like I said, there are various models. Hoe kingen we waarom? Nee, we waarom? Ja. Nog een keertje, we waarom? Yeah. So there is this is just a grasp from what we can offer on D8 hoists, and this is one of the models. Like I said, if we would have hours and hours, I was able to explain everything of all the models we have. So now we come one step higher, and that is D8 Plus, BGV D8 Plus, fully pronounced. The D8 Plus electric, a regular D8 electric chain hoist equipped with an additional brake and may only be loaded with half of the rated capacity of the specified on the D8 electric chain hoist. So equipped with a brake, the D8 Plus electric chain hoist complies to the principle of single fault tolerance. So the D8 Plus electric chain hoist is qualified to hold overhead loads without secondary safety device. And this can be, so the reason, to simplify it, D8 Plus is to reduce risk with 50%. That is actually to simplify it. In Germany, because in Germany it is obligatory to have a second brake and to reduce the load with 50%. Depending on the scale of your project, you might have to add a load cell system or make a proper risk assessment. So going to the one of the models called Up Plus. So what is the difference? The Up Plus is a D8 Plus is suitable for D8 Plus use in a D8 Plus situation. So this comes then with 2 brakes and is set back to 50%, so it cannot be loaded more than 50%. So the hoist, the D8 bare hoist, if, for example, is 1,000 kilograms, and you're not allowed to put more than 500 kilograms on the hoist to meet the D8 plus standard. So these are there are various models again available: 250, 320, 250, 8 meters per minute. Again, there are accessories possible, additional limit switch for load cells can be integrated. Manual and electric trolleys can be added. Here we go. Also another model is a plus light. Also, this is a standard D8 plus hoist. So again, to simplify it, this is a hoist to double your safety factor. That's actually what we're doing here. So there's independent 2 brakes, overload protections by means of a friction clutch, and all those kind of things to make a hoist suitable for D8 plus. Now, to make clear, in Germany this is a law. The rest of the world, in Europe, there are regulations that have a similar compliance to these regulations. And outside of Europe, a lot of people use the German regulations or the European standard as a guideline for their use. So, but please note that this is not obligatory or law in countries outside of the EU. But I always say the Germans are the only ones who have actually written down these kind of things. And this is very, for example, if something happens and you're in front of the judge in court, then you can always say, okay, I've acted according to the German regulations, and I took all of this in consideration. It is also allowed when you're in front of a judge to have your own risk assessment, but well, you would be stronger to say, okay, this is worldwide known and I've complied to this, rather than this is my own risk assessment, which is allowed, but it will probably save you a lot of time and explaining to do if you comply to a guideline, as we can call it, which is worldwide known. So your story is more solid, I would say. Some technical data. The plus light is 160 kilograms, 4 meters a minute, 500 kilograms, 4 meters a minute, 500. So these are all fixed speed hoists. Just to give you an idea. Like I said, we're not going too much into detail because we have, there's a lot of things we can talk about. I just wanted to show you what we can offer and what is possible with certain models of hoists. Again, there is a lot of options and accessories possible. Again, a double brake, an encoder, or a limit switch, a secondary limit switch. There is also 2-speed control is also possible. Going to the next slide, we have the Pro stage. This hoist is designed to use on stage, because this is a standard D8 plus hoist. So this is actually a D8 plus 1 ton single reefed. So why is this so special? Because the body is suitable to handle 1,000 kilograms, but because of the over here, the special high tensile D, the D-type chain has a greater surface, a bigger surface. Instead of a round shape, a square shape has more material, which results into a higher braking strength. And this is integrated into this hoist body, which makes it suitable to lift 1,000 kilograms on a single chain with your, as I call it again, the simplified explanation, the double safety factor, to increase your safety factor. Single hole suspension eyelet, chain hook rotatable, permanently installed, fold away textile bag, robust light alloy housing with 2 handles. As you can see, it's a quite compact hoist. Movcat is quite known about their compact hoists. Some technical data. The motor is 1.1 kilowatts. It has a duty cycle of 40%. And it's 4 meters a minute. So this is a your typical workhorse. Again, accessories can be added as the previous models. And one feature I like about this hoist is it has an integrated hour counter. So you can actually record or actually read from the hoist. This is a display, a picture. This is not the case in real life. Of the cover, you can see how many hours your hoist has been operated. This can be really beneficial for rental companies, because you can charge your customer based on the hours that the hoist actually operated. So, for example, if you rent it out for 4 hours and they use it for 24 hours, you can charge them for 24 hours. And then you can see how many hours your hoist has been running, and based on that you can increase the service frequency. Sorry, that was it. The service frequency. So you should increase the service frequency. If it doesn't, you can decrease the service frequency. So it's a really, really handy tool to actually see, well, actually what the age of the actual age of your hoist is, what it has been running. So another step up is the overweight range hoists. So this complies to the highest safety standard, which is called VC1. It does not have a SIL3, so the SIL, the safety integrity level. This is a fixed speed hoist, so it has all the features of a variable speed hoist, which we go into later on. But it is a fixed speed hoist. So this hoist is equipped with load cells, limit switches, encoders, but it is a fixed speed hoist. So this is all the features it has except for the variable speed. Some technical data. There's all again various options possible for this range. Options and accessories. If you want later on, if you want to have more information, you can contact Sahil, or and then he will pass on the information. Wat wil je vragen? Oh ja. Nee. Dit is VMKS. Oh ja. Ja, okay. So another step up is the VMKS. The VMKS is the variable speed hoists. This is a very accurate hoist. I've seen them in action, and it can hoist up to 30 meters. The chain fall, have a single fall, double fall. The protection class is IP54. The noiseless brakes with monitoring function. So actually all the functions in a hoist are monitored. The temperature is monitored, the brakes are monitored, the limit switches, everything gives feedback to a V motion. The V motion, which we also will go into later, is the brains of the VMK hoists. The VMK hoists have all the equipment inside and will transfer the information through the big cable to the V motion, to the brains. And the brains will give feedback to the desk, which we also go into later. It has an absolute encoder, incremental encoder, protection against thermal overload, has a test function inside. So if before operation something is wrong, you will get feedback from your desk telling you something is wrong. Load pickup, swivel adapter with eyelet. So why is there an eyelet? The eyelet is there to secure the maximum safety level of the hoist. It is in these cases in Germany, and it is not allowed to have a hook which can be opened to reduce risk. It's all about risk assessment. As you can see, there is a lot of options available. There is a VMKL, there is a VMKS, and the S for silent. The L has a little of louder brakes, so it depends on where you are and where you can save some money here and there, depending on your project. VMK variable motion power pack, the V motion, all that. The cable is quite special. It's a hybrid cable. There is running through these power cables, signal cables. All the cables are actually specific manufactured for Movcat for this product. And these cables ensure smooth operation for your system, because a lot of problems occur by using wrong cables or damaged cables. Okay. this of the flow chart. So these are the V's. The V motion, the V stands for variable motion. So this is actually the brains, but also the power pack inside, which makes sure that the hoist gets the right frequency to, and in this case, I mean frequency is the same as the speed. So actually the V motion gets a command from the desk and makes sure that the hoist operates accordingly. And there are various models. Not all of these are on the screen, but for example, the V-Motion 40 is the most common used. If I'm not mistaken, it stands for 4 kilowatts. And for example, the V-Motion 75 is 7.5 kilowatts and is used for heavier drives as for example, a winch. Okay, the controllers. So there are, the V-Motion is the controller for a variable speed or a fixed speed OMK hoist. Next to that, there are a lot of, there are some models of controllers, which is used D8 or D8 plus with encoders or no encoders. These are the controllers. There are controllers that can be used D8 or D8 plus installations. The controller on the right bottom can be used in the what we call the iMotion network. So the iMotion network is a network we can connect controllers or V-motions onto, which you can see on your desk. So as you can see, there is a wide range of products from D8, so basic to standalone installations, to motivated systems as the variable speed systems. The accessories, we were just talking to the hoists. The blue, okay, so the blue device over here is an encoder. This is the absolute encoder. Yeah. This is the absolute encoder. And this is the incremental encoder, which is standard in a VM or an OMK hoist. Additionally, there is a slack chain protection, and the slack chain protection detects if your chain is on top of the hoist or is stuck somewhere, which will result the hoist or your system to stop. Below that, there is the limit switch, which can have several contacts. In this case, it has 4 contacts, so it means a soft limit for up and down and a hard limit for up and down. This is required for extra safety. In case one fails, the other is what we call redundant and will kick in when the first safety is not working. This is all again coming back to reducing risks as safe as possible. Okay, well, we have some cabling available, splitters. Oh, can I? Sorry. Yeah. As you can see here, this is what we call the NDC cable. The NDC cable is the cable that is between the vMotion and the desk. This is also used to link vMotions and also from the routers, what we call the NMB, the Network Master Box, and the NDB is the Network Distribution Box, which we can see again in the flow chart. I can get it later on. Movcat also has power distribution units. Now there is, in some cases, people can make them themselves, but if you have a system with variable speed drives from Movcat, we always strongly recommend to also include a power distribution unit in your system. Why? Because this power distribution unit has a special RCD, and a special RCD is type B. What is so special about a type B? The RCD type B is specifically designed to be used for variable speed hoists. A normal RCD type will trip all the time because it can't handle the frequency drives and the peaks that will occur when you have a frequency drive operating. To be honest, these things are quite pricey, but these are essential to have your system operate flawlessly. There are a lot of people who think they can build their own power distribution unit, and I have no doubt that it is possible, but for flawless operation, we would always highly recommend to have the power distribution unit with a type B RCD. What makes this unit so expensive is because of the type B RCD. So if you would make it yourself, you would be a bit cheaper, but you would still have to buy the RCD B type to make it suitable for your variable speed system. Now we come to desks. So there are two desks. It is the basic C2 desk. And actually, the desk is the gray part here. I've worked on this desk, and personally, if you have a few hoists, this is good enough. If you have quite a big system, it is very, very recommended to have the Expert T3 desk. The Expert T3 desk is a desk specifically designed for the Movcat. There are a lot of fixed Q buttons. There are two joysticks, and it has what was it again? Like a 24-inch high-resolution screen, and it is a touch screen. For the basic C2, you can see the cabinet around it. You can attach an additional screen to it if you want. The small screen here is also a touch screen, and this is a but the cabinet around it can also be ordered additionally to the basic C2 model. So depending on your project, there is obviously a big price difference, and depending on your budget and your you can choose either one. So the iMotion network. I was telling you about the NDB and NB. So this is the NDB6. So the NDB6 is a distribution box which has all these kind of connectors which you can connect the NDC cable to. So to make it simple, you can see this as a router. Now, this is a simple distribution box. This is the NMB. So in every system for variable speed hoists, this box is the first in line. So this is the first in line that is connected to the desk. The NMB 14 means it has 14 channels, meaning you can connect 14 V motions. If you want to have more channels, then you always need an NMB 14, and then you can connect 14 NDB. NDB boxes. And every NDB box has another 6 outputs. So depending on your the amount of your drives, you can use connect, link, actually NDB 6 boxes. If you have a great distance cover, we have a booster box over here, which boosts your signal. What is so special about the NMB 14? As you can see, this is a 19-inch size distribution box, which is almost the same size as the V motions, also 19-inch, and the NDBs are small boxes, and this is just a simple disk box for the iMotion network. Again, what is so special about this box? What is special about this box, and it has a stop category 1, which means that if you press the E-stop on your system, normally if you have a plain D8 system and you have 20 hoists and they're 1 ton each, you have a total load of, let's say, to be simple, to keep it simple, 20 tons. If you press an E-stop on a moving system of 20 tons, your roof will come down, definitely. The NMB 14 has a function inside which generates a 1 second delay if you have to press the E-stop. Any E-stop pressed, the NMB 14 will engage the stop category 1. So it also says for reduction of the impact. You can also use your system without the NMB 14, but you won't have this functionality. And we always strongly recommend to have this first in line. In case of an E-stop, in case of an emergency stop is necessary, this will reduce the impact with 1 second, which can save your roof. The variable speed drives, as I called it, the drives. There is a variety from 125 to 1250 kilograms for the variable speed drives. Speeds can go up, can go from 0 to 40 meters per minute. Please make note that it depends on what model hoist you are using. It depends. For example, you cannot drive 40 meters per minute with a 1250 kilograms. If you want to know more, then contact Modern Stage Services, and then we will gladly answer all your questions. There is a suspension lug, again with an eyelet, top up the safety factor, to maintain the safety factor. Heat sensors, as I already told, 2 brakes, 1 to 8 and 1 to 10 on the chain. A 4-way limit switch, so it be redundant limit switch, underload and slack chain protection, etc. So this is the VMKS is as high as it gets. Well, there is a winch, the entertainment winch. That's what we call it drives, because there is a lot of drives possible. Trolley is available, and now go to the controllers. The controllers, D8 and D8 Plus controllers. So in the same order as we go through the hoist, we have pickles available. We have simple hoist controllers available. Go up to higher, no, more options of functionality. As you can see here, this is a controller with a remote, and here we have a controller, a display, which can receive signals from a load cell, which is optional put on a hoist, or encoders for positioning, which is added later on to a hoist. Now, this is actually one of my favorites. This is what we call the touring rack. Ja, precies. Hij is net update. So, sorry for the interruption. I have some notes here as well, because I want to highlight this part as well as possible. So the touring rack, what is so special about the touring rack? The touring rack comes in a rack, and it is a plug and play system. So it has the controllers below, or actually the power drives in the below, the operating part on the top, and it has an integrated power distribution unit. So it's it comes in 16, 24, or 32 channels, and it can be linked up to, if I'm not mistaken, about 380 hoists. It's adjustable. How to say it? The RCD is adjustable. There's a link function inside. Use complete container for touring occasions. So this is, again, that's why it's called the touring rack. There is also an option to add additional Deadman's buttons. So if I'm not mistaken, there's you can add 4 Deadman buttons. If you have a really big gig with a lot of hoists, one person cannot cover whether there's going something wrong or not. So the Deadman's buttons, for a room, 4 person in every corner can have a Deadman button with a wire going to the. So if not everybody pushes the Deadman button, the operator can't operate. So you have more eyes on your project. There is a master mode, automatic rotation field adaptation. So it doesn't matter what you put in, the output is always the same. And oh yeah, and there is also, it's not in the slide, but there is also a bypass function. There is one hoist refusing to do its job, then you can bypass that hoist instead of shutting down your whole production and taking out the faulty hoist and put one back in. If you can bypass that broken down unit, your project is not at jeopardy. Well, this is for the Movcat part. There's so much more I want to tell, but this is for now, and what we promised a basic introduction on the Movcat. Please note that this is not all there is. There are more things, but like I said, this is in a nutshell what we can offer on D8 BGVC1 to the highest safety level of variable systems. De volgende presentatie. Now I'm gonna tell you something. So we have a which is called Protoss range load cells. One moment, please. We're switching over to the other presentation. Can everybody see this?
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the confirmation. Perfect. Okay, again, I will go through it a little bit more swiftly. So I'm going swiftly through the products, and also I will take just a little bit more time to explain you why a load cell is necessary, or nowadays is becoming necessary. So everything, the industry is developing at a fast rate. Everything is becoming bigger. Everything must be more spectacular, and the resulting into more equipment is needed. So the last sentence I like is being able to measure the load that you are lifting is essential for safe working conditions to protect men and priceless equipment. So like this picture, you can see that this is quite rated insulation, and would be highly recommended to use load cells to well, be able to measure what you are doing and what is happening where in your construction. Another few. So, unique features. Protoss has developed a comprehensive range of force equipment for entertainment industry. So, the load cells have a centralization bobbin, meaning load will always be in the center of the load pin. If it's not in the center of the load pin, pushing against the shackle bow, then the force will be transferred also through the bow, which will not give the pin an accurate reading. It's a plug-and-play system, customizable visualization in software, and local stock available. So later on in the presentation, I will have some screenshots to give you an example of how it looks like and what we can do with it. European quality, long-lasting battery management. You can also data log, also have some pictures of that. So what is a load cell? So a load cell is well, actually a load cell is a cell that measures deviation in material. In this case, this is a load cell shackle. Like I explained before, we have a shackle, a plain shackle. We all know what a shackle is. It has a pin, not a normal pin, because in the pin there is a strain relief. The next slide, I will explain you just in a nutshell how it works. In this case, we have a shackle with a pin, with a measuring device inside the pin. There is a box inside which acquires the transmission from the electronics inside the pin, and the box also contains a transmitting unit. And all the rest is what we are used to see in a shackle. So what is load cell and how does it work? So the left image is what we call a strain relief. And this seems quite big, but the strain relief, for example, in our load cell pin is 4 by 4 millimeters. So it is this small, and as you can see, there is a zigzag pattern from back to the other. So this strain relief will be put inside a hole inside the pin, which is about 5 millimeters in our case, and will be glued in. This is special glue, and it will be vulcanized, so it will become one with the pin. So why is this so important? It is important because if we put load on the pin, deformation will occur, and the deformation on the pin will be invisible for human eyes. On such a small part of the strain relief of 4 by 4 millimeters, there is not a lot we can measure from those two contacts. So going to the third most right image is this one. This is an example. I got this from Google, but this is an example of what amplifier looks like. So this amplifies the signal it gets from the strain relief, and is putting out a readable signal. This signal is transferred from our wireless load cell to the dongle we have. We have the set in the back, and this is a USB receiver which receives the signal from the load cell. Well, there are pros and cons on wires and wireless and wired. I think we can all relate to the pros and cons. Standard ranges we have from 3.25 ton and 4.75 ton is our standard range. We have a daisy chain load cell system available, which is based on custom made. The wireless is 3.25 and 4.75, stainless steel, IP67, so it can be used outdoors. long battery life, possible with different transmission rate settings. So we have a monitoring software system, and we have a configuration software with toolkit. Custom options are available. So besides the 3.25 and 4.75, if you have any inquiry, don't think it's not possible. Just always ask if it is possible, because there's a lot of custom options available. The battery life is up to 650 hours. The batteries inside are AA batteries, two pieces. Well, like I said, we have the dongle, 500 meter range. The extended box is 800 meter. We have a wireless handheld receiver, which can be used as a standalone unit to scroll through your available load cells, because this will pick up the signal from every wireless load cell in range. As soon as you turn this on, it will turn on load cells in the range, within the range. We also have an active repeater module. So why would we use this? If we need more range, or if there's interference, you can enhance your signal with this one. So it's not only to extend the range, but also to enhance the signal. Also perfect for circumventing signal blocking. So if you need to transmit around the corner, you put this on the corner, and then if you have a free site, then this will do the rest. We have a relay module. The relay module is also a nice module, which can be set and work standalone without the software if you set the settings properly. The relay unit has the ability to be able to connect a siren to it, or an alarm light, or you can even put the e-stop circuit from your controller through this, and it will either activate or deactivate the e-stop circuit from your controller, which will result to stop your hoist in case of an overload. We have a wind speed transmitter for outside doors, of course, the anemometer. This also has a lot of settings. Also for longer periods of time, if you have festivals over weeks, or you have a site, you need to monitor the wind for a couple of weeks. Have a solar panel and a power pack available for longer operation without fixed power supply. We have a Protos flight case, a trolley design with interchangeable inserts, so you can have you can carry maximum of 16 load cells or 4 anemometers, or whatever your configuration is that day. So this is, I always like pictures, because pictures talk much better than text. This is how the wireless system works. In the middle of this circle, we have the Windows laptop, computer, or Windows tablet, whatever, which you can connect the various models of receivers we have to. So in that range, you can see the different modules. If you want to extend that range, you can use a repeater. The repeater cannot be set, does not need to be set. And then it will repeat the signal. The signal, by the way, is 2.4 gigahertz, and no, it will not interfere with other 2.4 gigahertz network because it will identify. Like I said, this is the handheld. The handheld can also be used standalone or in combination with the software. This is a handy tool for the rigger in the field. For example, if the operator and the rigger are too far apart from each other, what they can do is, without to prevent shouting to the operator, the rigger can check on the load cells by himself what the weight is, what the load is. And this is the relay module. As I told earlier, you can connect the siren to it, but you can also put it in between the e-stop circuit of the controller. Okay, we have two types of logging, the software. We have the logging software. The software can handle up to 100 channels, virtual channels. Virtual channels with math functions are possible. You can check trend charts, reports. There's a web viewer available. And there's visualization available. You can set an alarm inside the software as well, with audio as well, and you can log. You can record your session. With the advanced tool, calibrate and configure the units. Normally, when you get a system of ours, it's plug and play, so you need to set anything. But in some cases, it can be necessary. Logging software, yes. So this is what it looks like when you the software connects to Loadcells or to any cell or any module, like the anemometer or the Loadcells. This is what it looks like when one of the Loadcells overload. This is the single channel view, so you can see what it has been doing. And this is the other view, which is called the visualization view. This is something I kind of like because you can insert, for example, if you are on your software and you have a project, and in some cases visualization is much more comforting, much easier to look at, rather than having your channel view give a name and you always have to look for your load cell. So you can put any bar, any display inside your picture, your PDF, your whatever you want to upload, and then you can say, hey, the hoist in the back left, it's overloaded, rather than hoist 4 or hoist 1 or whatever is to your liking. You can change it into any shape, any color. You can add or whatever. By the way, you can download this software from our website, from protas-1.com, and then you can play around with it. There is a visualization or a demo function inside, so you can have a look if you want. So the exciting part is, why should I use Loadcells? So this is a case. It's an arc roof of 7 by 11, 4 towers and 2-meter cantilever on the front. The self weight of the roof is 4,700 kilograms. Okay, so what is important, you always, what I also explained about the centralization moment, you always have to make sure that the load cell, if you're losing a load cell, the load cell is in a straight line with the load. So this is the to install a load cell. Now, actually, I was with an old colleague of mine. We were. I called him up. I said, I want to see this for myself. So actually, one day later, he called me back and said, "Hey, we have a gig." Actually, it was a liberation festival in Groningen, near village, and he said, "You can come over and we'll put him in between." He said, I want to see it as well. So the previous picture, this is how and this is how I set up in front of the stage, because it needed to be raised and it needed to have tarps on the backside and left and right side. So first is I write a note, and I write ID number of the load cell on a piece of paper, so I can configure it on my software, so I don't need to run back and forth. So as you can see, we started to raise for 1.5 meters, and immediately what I see is that the back 2 towers are loaded less than the 2 front towers. So this tells me that, and actually confirms that the front 2 towers have a cantilever because they are loaded more. Going to the next slide, we can see that the same thing is occurring, and later on I added a virtual. So the virtual channel, I added a virtual channel, and what I did with the math function is I summed up all these 4 units and have a total. Now we see that the self weight, or the total weight of the 4 towers, is 5.6 tons. So going back to the first slide, is that the self weight was 4.7 tons. So I was looking at my colleague and I said, "Hey, this is almost a ton over." And he was scratching his head like, I don't know what it is. This is strange. So we continued, because the people who were building up was a different company, and they are doing this for years. They had up this same roof for several times. So here is a chart. So as you can see, this is what the software one second. Hold. Oh, I will land. So as you can see, the chart here on the left side, the cell A to G is actually the so A and B is the date and the time, and C, D, E, F, G are the displays. So my colleague, he generated this graph in Excel using the CSV file. So it's raw data, what our software puts out. So to my understanding, I'm not a computer nerd or whatever, but to my understanding, a CSV file is a quite broad, usable file to insert in all kinds of software. In this case, we used Excel, and you can see a trend here. You can also see that the orange and the green is left front and right front. We are higher than all the rest. Now, later on, there's happening something. So I'm going to continue. Kan je me iets verder maken? Just doet die moes hoor. Hij is verder aan. Dat doet hij van mij. 1 second, please. The graphs are having an effect on the computer performance. Yes. Oh, die moest die maken. Ja, dat zou. The next slide is a little bit, I adjusted the next slide. I created a kind of a different graph, the same graph, based on the same graph, but I mentioned some comments to show you actually what happened. Because these people building up the roof, they've never used a load cell system before. And we can see in the graph that there are some spikes here and there. Okay, now get it. Yeah, there we are. Yes, there we are. Okay, so what I forgot to mention is that these 4 towers have each 2-ton double-reefed hoists on each tower. So the capacity of each tower is 2 tons. It's not 4 tons because they go with the top section, because the hoist is mounted to the base of the construction and not connected to the moving part. So each tower is 2 tons. So what we can see here is, again, the gray and the light blue are the front right and front left. Everything goes smoothly, and all are have the same trend. Now, what is happening as we go further, and keep in mind that this line over here, this line is the 2-ton line, yeah? So here is a bump up, bump down, and we needed to insert some sidewalls. Or no, that was here, the sidewall mounting, up, down, blah, blah, going further, yeah. And then going. I think another section of CADA profile is added here. And then somebody was like, oh, wrong bump. As you can see, taking from this line, which is the 1.5-ton line, and then going to post topping to 3 tons. This is what one bump can do. From 1.5 to 3, almost 3 tons. It's almost double. But one bump can cause a spike of 1.5 tons almost. Then we went on. Then we went on, and then we went to the dead hang session. So this is the dead hang session over here. And then you can see all kind of things happening. One goes down because this one went completely down because we dead hung the tower. That is the front right tower, the light blue line. The back right tower is the dark blue line. It took a while before we dead hanged it. And now we go to the gray line over here. And the gray line, that was a little bit of critical because one of the guys said, hey, can you operate the hoist because I need to go somewhere else? I said, yeah, fine, no problem. So we were having an intercom system, and the rigger was in the top of the tower, and the towers have a pin that go through the sleeve block to dead hang the tower. But he didn't seem to manage to put the pin through, so we were here at the just below the 2-ton line, and then he said, can you do another bump up? I said, sure, why not? And then I saw the hoist raising to 2.5 tons. And keep in mind that the hoists are 2-ton capacity, 2 ton. And then he said, can you do another bump up? I said, yeah, I'll try. And then eventually, almost at 3 tons, I said, dude, I'm not going any further because this is too dangerous. And now keep in mind that these guys have been doing this for years and years, as a lot of times, without actually seeing what is happening. And I showed them that if you use Loadcells, you can see what is going wrong. For example, eventually he was shaking the tower, and we heard a moderate bang. It's like, yeah, it's in. Let's say that they didn't have this, then the operator would have keep on pushing. It's speculating, of course, but a lot of things could have gone wrong. For example, if more force was applied, the rigger could have got hurt, something could have broke, and then some people are asking like, okay, but the hoists are 2 tons, why are they pulling more? We have a safety factor in every hoist. The safety factor is there for safety. So there is always a bit of responsibility with the operator to keep that in mind. The safety factor is not to be used to generate extra force on your hoist. It is meant for a safety factor. Now eventually we got the job done, and again with the yellow line you can also see that there was some difficulties, but overall, if we look at the 2-ton line over here, that we can see that for some time the front 2 towers have been overloaded. And can we see for almost half an hour without, we knew it, but they have been doing without Loadcells for some time. Now, how the story ended was, I got feedback from my from my colleague, and I provided him this graph as well, or I provided him with the raw data. He created this graph, and he went back because he was the engineer for that company's roofs. So he's a structural engineer, and he went back with the graph, the cantilever on the front, because on the back there was no cantilever. So if you would make sure that the front and the back both have the same cantilever, you would divide the load more evenly, better for your material. And actually what they did is, afterwards, seeing this, after the explanation of the structural engineer, they changed the design to have cantilever on both sides, which will result to evenly dividing the load over the 4 hoists. Furthermore, what we concluded by using the load cells was that the self-weight of the hoist, remember, was 4.7 tons, and the total load on our screen was 0.6, so that's 900 kilograms. 900 kilograms of difference. The self-weight of the hoist is a theoretically determined load, because it's all summed up the weight of the material. So where did this 900 kilo, almost 1 ton, where did this 1 ton come from? The 1 ton came, and we concluded, came from friction. Friction, you will ask, friction? Yes, friction. So we have 4 towers, and every tower has a sleeve block. So as you all know, every sleeve block has about 16 wheels. 16 wheels, so a set of 4 wheels per main cord of a truss. So in this case, the roof was 17 by 11 meters. So the width was 17 meters. So we have a span of 17 meters from one tower to the other. So if these towers are a little bit off, either way, what will happen is the sleeve block will, how do you call it? Fringe, kniepen? Will in practice, a tower is never straight. So as you go up, there's more friction because the wheels are pressing against the main cords. When we saw this, the 5.6 ton, we went over to the stage, and what I saw in the left part is that the wheels on this side of the tower were pressed in for 1 centimeter, and the other side of the tower, the wheels were free. There was a clearance. On the other side, it was exactly the same thing. So my colleague and me, we concluded that using load cells is showing us how much friction there is on your hoist. Nobody can calculate friction because friction can occur on any wheel depending on the position of your tower or the cross bracing in your moving roof part. So the friction is additional weight. We saw that it is additional weight because the load cells said it was 5.6 tons. Theoretically, our weight should have been 4.7. This is also another aspect of a load cell showing you that there's friction in a roof system. And friction is also weight. It's a different kind of force, but it is force that also the chain hoist must pull. So why should I use load cells? To make sure that you are not overloading your equipment. In this case, we have almost 1 ton of friction. Perhaps if we would have knew this up front, we could have said, okay, I want a hoist of more capacity, or I need to level my towers better, or all those kind of things. So yes, we have a safety factor on all our material, but the safety factor is there for one reason, and that is safety, and not because the safety factor can be used to absorb overload. That's not what it's there for. So a safety factor on material. No, sorry, I'll start over again. The next question is, what will these kind of situations do with your material? What will it do with your material in the long run? so that is also what Loadcells do. It gives you insight of how your equipment is loaded. And for example, in this case, I cannot guarantee that their material is at the same strength when they bought it, because we can see in the graph that they have been overloading it for many years because they didn't have any load cells. Yeah, so that's a wrap up for this. I'm enthusiastic about it, and I just want to show you, and I can prove that it is valuable to have load cells to in the long run save money on your equipment, and not to weaken it when the time goes by. So yeah, that is my conclusion. That is for my part. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope it was meaningful to you. Sahil, I think back to you for the Q&A session. Yes.
Sure. Thank you. 1 second. Can you stop this screen sharing? Yeah.
First and foremost, Jasper, my sincere gratitude to you. It's just because of you that myself being an MC, I'm always very fascinated by event technology, and because of you, I got to know about protos. I got to know about the weight distribution. So my sincere gratitude to Jasper.
You're welcome. My pleasure. It was thank you for the opportunity.
And now I would like to ask Rohan, if Rohan is there, because yes, Rohan, are you there?
Hi guys. Hi Jasper. How are you doing?
Hey, how are you? All good?
I'm fine. Presentation. Just two quick questions. I'll start with one actually. The Loadcells part was very, very interesting, and there's so much I learned, even as a guy who's into trust rental.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I mean, one should get their hands on Loadcells as soon as possible. Apart from that, just wanted to know about the Hoists. What are the working voltages which are available? Because I really couldn't locate the working voltages of the motors. It seems to me that they're all three-phase motors. Can you just elaborate on that point?
Oh, you were wondering if it's available to have a single-phase operated hoists.
Correct.
Yeah, standardly no, but there are how to say it, power interfaces. There is a box which we can put in between, which can receive single phase and has a three-phase output. So yes.
Okay, thanks. And do say hi idea from my side.
Yeah, I will definitely do so. Thank you very much for being here.
Jasper, we have another question. It was from Jordan. He wanted to ask, does this need a break after every 5 to 7 minutes of variable motion? The variable motors, do they need a break after every 5 to 7 minutes of working, or do they? You can just continuously work with the different kind of. For example, if you have a 4-motor variable setup, a variable chain hoist setup, do you need a break, or is it you can continuously use it for time?
I don't know from the top of my head what the maximum period is for running a hoist. what I do know, and what I explained in the presentation, that they have all the variable speed drives have a thermal protection and temperature display.
Okay.
So this will closely be monitored if it's strong. What the quantity of time is, I don't know from the top of my head, but I can find that out.
In your mind, what do you think? Are the fixed speed motors are the better ones, or variable speed? For example, if you want to work at an event where you need the rigging setup to be very fast, and all the rigs have to be in a very less amount of time. So what do you recommend? Do you recommend the fixed speed, or do you recommend the variable speed? What are the pros and cons?
So the variable speed hoists are designed to do shows, to move props over an audience with LEDs or a wall of moving heads. I don't know. Or for setting up, I guess are way too expensive.
Okay.
So if you want to hoist a main grid, I definitely recommend create a proper risk assessment, perhaps use Loadcells and hoist it up speed hoists. Because eventually, if it's a mother grid, for example, you will probably add steel cables or additional safeties, etc. So after that, if you have the main grid installed, you won't use the hoists after you're finished. So I guess a variable speed hoist would be a very, very costly.
Okay. You think it's a better solution for installs? I feel the variable motors, as you're saying, it's a better solution for installs at a big nightclub, or or
if you have a nightclub with moving prop,
moving truss, coming down.
Variable choice, because or the OMK. The OMK is a fixed speed hoist, but it has all the measuring devices, for example, a load cell. So it's a variable speed hoist with all the variable speed drive. That's what it comes down to.
And how much is the price difference between, if I want to understand, in a fixed speed and a variable speed? I just want to know a difference of maybe 50% or 100%. Or
I don't dare to tell you, because it really the price difference. The price difference is there because there is not a variable speed drive, an OMP, so in a speed hoist. So it will definitely save the cost of a frequency drive, etc. So yeah.
Okay. Great.
I really don't know.
Okay. Well, thank you. Any other questions, guys? Dhiren bhai, if you have any questions, anybody else? We will be posting this video on Facebook, so we'll edit the video and put it up on Facebook, so more people are able to watch and share the videos. Well, thank you, Jasper. Thank you, everybody else, for watching this session. If there are not any more questions, I think
I have a question for Rohan. Jasper, I would want you to pay very close attention to this question and the reply, because the western province of India is all of Bengalis. Bengalis are the people
right,
who have music in their DNA. So
okay.
Yes, and Rohan Ghosh happens to be a Bengali. So I would like to ask Rohan that how would protos do in the western province of India when it comes for sale? Because the way these people sing and dance together and celebrate at shows is just massive. The numbers are really high. Rohan bhai?
Okay. I'm actually from Calcutta, which is the eastern part, and
Yes.
well, only while Jasper was going through his presentation, I was just visualizing the areas where variable drives could come in and play. I think it was more of because Sahil and me, we do some work in the auditorium sector also, and maybe I'm missing Dinesh Shah. He's a renowned and a award-winning light designer. So I was thinking of the things he could have done with variable this thing. I mean, immense scope. I think as of now in the auditorium sector and not so much in live concerts. So my answer to your this thing question would be right now in the auditorium sector, and if Jasper, maybe we could look at these and as I was discussing with Sahil the other day, that in India we still have a lot of those top wings coming down and going up using rope drives. So maybe we can replace those rope drives. It comes with a gearbox, a motor, and a switching system. It's electrical system with just 4 hoists in 4 corners, and you can have a stage which is say 30 feet, say 10 meters by 15 meters, a small stage with the entire ceiling coming down using 4 hoists and 4 corners. Instead of having very complicated winches and wire ropes and I think it's the exact things we were discussing here.
Right. Well, that sounds interesting. Yeah. If the time is right, then we would be more into detail, and if we are able to travel again, then we should definitely do something about it. Yeah.
And I would like to
one quick question. Sorry to interrupt. One quick question. Does it have? You mentioned that in your presentation that it has a temperature display on your screen. Does it have an auto thermal switch cutoff thing for safety? That if your motors or your drives get heated up, is there an auto cutoff on that?
Definitely. On each model of controller, there is a thermal switch for the basic ones, and for the more sophisticated system, there is thermal protection in the hoist, which will be the V motion, and the V motion will make sure that when he gets this message, he will shut off the system. Definitely, that is part SIL, safety integrity level 3, which is the highest. There is 4, but they're nuclear reactors. So in our industry, SIL 3 is the highest you can get.
Is there a manual bypass for it that I can set my cutoff limits and then do it, considering suppose I'm doing an outdoor venue setup where it's really hot, say in a desert setup or something. Do I have a bypass for it, which I can set my temperatures to my level as a cutoff point?
I think that's a good question. However, the level that is set is already at the maximum. So, for example, for a V motion, there has been, I know of a gig that has been by Electrocraft. They had inside, it was 40 degrees. And what they did is they put fans next to the V. So for a V motion, the maximum operating temperature is 40 degrees, I think. It needs to be cooled. You cannot.
Considering this for Indian standards and the type of setup what Sahil and involved in, where we do elaborate outdoor setups in the open. We have the scope of pushing that limit by any chance for our standards?
Well, what can be done to achieve this is the advantage of the construction of Movcat having a hoist and a V motion separate is cases in big installs. What people do is they put their V motions in a separate pot and the hoists in the top. So if a V motion fails, they can exchange it very easily. There is also an option that you put your V motion next to your hoists on top of your grid, and that will be a solution, because the hybrid cable, which is used for this, is quite expensive. So the longer the cable, the more expensive your project gets. But yes, you can put your vMotions inside a cooled cabinet, for example, or an air-conditioned, as what they do with servers. They put it in a cooled environment. So yes, that is possible. Yes.
Thank you. Got that.
Okay.
I just ask one more. Okay.
Sure, fine by me. Yeah.
So, can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Ron.
Yeah. So my question is, can you just elaborate a little more on the can you just elaborate a little bit on the limit switch settings? Because if I'm looking at auditorium, maybe you can't have access to the cutoff areas. You can just talk about a little bit limit switch systems in these motors.
So, are you talking about the sophisticated variable speed, or the fixed speed hoists, or the plain hoist, or?
Do we have that option open in the fixed speed hoist where I can cut off my limit switch and do say on a particular height it gets into an auto cut?
Sure.
Like
So the fixed speed basic hoists, as the German call it, the D8 hoist or the D8 plus hoist, option or accessories are you can put a mechanical, what they call a rotary limit switch inside, which is a mechanical limit switch and can be set to shut off or for up and down limits. So yes, that is possible. For the variable speed, it is electronic and it is controlled by the absolute and by the incremental encoder. So his answer is yes. Any more questions?
Any more questions? All right, Jasper. Thank you so much. And guys, if you have any questions,
very welcome.
Yeah, great. And let's maybe the next one. Let's do a more technical one. I'll have more technicians and more non-trust users here. So thank you, Jasper. Thank you for.
Yeah, sure thing.
Yeah, let's catch up soon after all this is over. On the flight start. And
let's do that, man. Thank you very much for the opportunity. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.